faster than he would have thought possible, driving the rising tide before it. By the time he reached the second stretch of tide pools, there was barely 10 feet of dry sand between water's edge and cliffs. Pug hurried as fast as was safe across the rocks, twice nearly catching his foot. As he reached the next expanse of sand, he mistimed his jump from the last rock and landed poorly. He had twisted his ankle. He had been here before, and when he had jumped, he had twisted his ankle, and a moment later the waves had washed over him. Pug turned to look at the sea, and instead of the surge of water that would wash over him, the water was pulling back. The sea gathered in on itself, and as it pulled away, it climbed higher and higher, a wall of water reaching angrily to the heavens. An explosion of thunder erupted over his head, and he ducked, crouching to avoid the threat from above. Pug risked an upwards glance and wondered how the clouds had gathered so quickly. Where had the sun gone? The roiling breakers continued to mount the sky, and as Pug watched in dread, he could see figures moving within the liquid wall. It resembled a barrier of sea-green glass, clouded with sandy imperfections and explosions of bubbles, but transparent enough to make out the shapes moving within it. Armed creatures stood in ranks, poised and waiting to invade Cryde. And a word came to Pug's mind. Dasati. He turned, letting go of the sack in his hand as he attempted to reach higher ground. He must warn Duke Boric. He would know what to do. But the Duke is dead. Over a century now. Panic-stricken, the boy clambered up the low rise, his hands unable to find a firm grip, his feet denied solid purchase. He felt tears of frustration rise in his eyes, and he glanced over his shoulder. The black figures stirred within the mounting wall of water. As they stepped forward, the wave rose to impossible height, blackening out the already storm-grey skies. Above and behind the massive wave, a thing of dark anger revealed itself. A murk without form and feature, yet coherent, a powerful presence with purpose and mind. From it poured pure evil, a miasma of malevolence so vast that it caused the boy to fall over backwards, sitting helpless as he waited. Pug saw the dark army of the Dasati marching towards him, emerging from waves turned black by the hateful thing in the sky. He slowly rose, balled his fists, and stood defiantly. Yet he knew he was helpless. He should be able to do something, but he was only a boy, not yet 14 summers old, not even chosen for a craft, a keep boy without family or name. Then, as the nearest Dasati warrior raised its sword, a malevolent cry of triumph sounded, a bell-like clarion that brought the child to his knees. Expecting the blade to fall, Pug watched the Dasati hesitate. Behind it, the wave, now taller than the tallest tower in the keep at Cryde, also seemed to pause for a moment. Then it came crashing towards him, sweeping up the Dasati before bearing down upon the boy. "Ah!" said Pug, sitting up in bed, his body drenched with perspiration. "What is it?" asked the woman at his side. Pug turned towards his wife, sensing more than seeing her features in the darkness of their sleeping chamber. He calmed himself and said, "A dream. Nothing more." Miranda sat up and put a hand on his shoulder. With the briefest gesture, she brought every candle in the bedchamber to life. In the soft glow from the candles, she saw the sheen of moisture on his skin, reflecting the flickering light. It must have